It started on a Tuesday. Not a Friday night, not some special day, just an ordinary, dull Tuesday in late October. I was wearing the same tired leggings I'd been living in for years, standing in my front yard struggling to carry a box of old books to the curb. It was one of those days where everything felt heavier than it should have been. Including me. That's when I saw him. He was working next door, shirtless, sweaty, swinging a hammer like something out of one of those romance novels I used to hide under my mattress when I was younger. Broad chest, sharp jawline, tanned skin, tattoos peeking out from under his shoulder. He looked like trouble, and I hadn't seen trouble in a long time. "Need help with that?" he asked, already jogging toward me before I could answer. I stammered something like "I'm fine," but he took the box from my hands anyway. I could smell sweat and cologne and something else I couldn't name. Something wild. He placed the box down gently and looked me dead in the eye. "You married?" he asked. Blunt. Direct. His voice low. "Yes," I replied too quickly. He smirked like he already knew. I figured. They always are around here. I laughed nervously, brushing my hair back even though it wasn't in my face. "They?" He shrugged. "Lonely wives. Husbands always working. Big empty houses. You'd be surprised how often I get that." I didn't respond, but my throat dried up. Something about the way he said it, like he saw right through me. His name was Chris. A contractor. 35. Single. Lived 2 neighborhoods over but was renting a house on the next block while working a few jobs in the area. That's all I knew then. That, and that he looked at me like I was something forbidden he wanted to taste. When he walked away, I watched him from behind, ashamed but unable to stop myself. That night, I wore something tighter to bed. My husband didn't notice. My name doesn't matter. Neither does my town. What matters is that I was a woman who forgot how to feel wanted. Not just loved or appreciated, wanted. Mark, my husband, wasn't a bad man. He paid the bills. Took the kids to school. Fixed the sink when I asked him to, after the 3rd time. But we hadn't touched each other like lovers in over a year. Maybe 2. We'd gone from husband and wife to roommates with a mortgage and matching pajamas. I don't even think he noticed the change. I did. Every day, I woke up, made breakfast, packed lunches, ran my Etsy store from the dining room table, cleaned up after everyone, and fell asleep watching the same reality shows. Life was a loop, one long, flat, predictable loop. Until Chris showed up. Over the next week, I started seeing him more. Not just in the yard, at the local grocery store, the gas station, even outside the dry cleaner. It felt like he was everywhere. One morning, as I was loading groceries into my trunk, I heard his voice again. "You always buy the same brand of cereal," he said. Leaning on the cart next to mine. I turned and smiled, feeling my cheeks flush. "You stalking me now?" He laughed. "Just observant." That turned into coffee at the corner cafe, nothing inappropriate, just curious conversation. He asked questions my husband hadn't in years. What music did I like? Did I believe in fate? What was the wildest thing I'd ever done? I didn't know how to answer half of them. I hadn't thought about myself in so long, I wasn't sure I still existed underneath the layers of wife and mother and homemaker. But Chris made me feel like I did. After that, I started wearing lip gloss again. Spraying perfume even when I wasn't going anywhere. I even started walking the long way home, just to pass by his worksite. The real shift came a few days later. It was late afternoon, sun just starting to dip, casting everything in golden light. I had just pulled into the driveway when I saw him again, Chris, working shirtless in his yard, wiping sweat off his neck with a rag. He waved me over. "I got something for you," he said, motioning toward the porch. It was a small wooden birdhouse. Painted by hand. "I remembered you said you like cardinals," he said. I had. At the cafe. I barely remembered saying it. But he did. I ran my fingers along the smooth wood, speechless. "Thank you," I whispered. He stepped closer, and for a second, we just stood there, no words. The air between us heavy, electric. His eyes dropped to my lips, then back to my eyes. He didn't touch me. But he didn't need to. My skin was already burning. "Take care of it," he said, stepping back toward his porch. Like I would. I swallowed hard, turned, and walked away like my legs didn't know how to work properly. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to Mark, listening to his slow, soft snore, and thought about Chris's hands. His eyes. His smirk. The birdhouse sat on the windowsill in the kitchen, and I stared at it for hours like it was some kind of forbidden gift. I want to say I was strong. I want to tell you I shut it down before it got out of hand. But I didn't. I let it simmer. I let it grow. And eventually, I crossed the line. But I'll get to that. Backhand index pointing. Right before I continue, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who understands that even the quietest wives have secrets. This was only the beginning. I don't remember what I wore that day. Only how I felt. Nervous. Giddy. Guilty. It was a Thursday afternoon, just after lunch, and the kids were at school. Mark was away again, some insurance conference in South Carolina. I had the house to myself, and I couldn't stop checking my phone. One message changed everything. "Chris, you ever drink wine in the middle of the day? I've got a bottle. Come by." I stared at it for a long time. It felt dangerous. Stupid. Exciting. I typed I shouldn't, then erased it. Then I typed I'll be there in 15 and hit send. He was renting a one-story house 2 blocks from ours, nothing fancy. Beige siding, mismatched blinds, quiet. The kind of place no one paid attention to, which made it perfect for what was about to happen. When I arrived, he opened the door already holding 2 glasses of red wine. No shirt again. Just loose joggers and bare feet. I had no idea if he planned that look, but it worked. My knees felt weak before I even stepped inside. "Relax," he said with a grin, handing me a glass. "We're just drinking." Just drinking. Right. The wine was sweet, and the music playing in the background was slow, smooth R&B. We sat on his couch, our knees just close enough to feel the tension. I tried to focus on the conversation, but my mind kept drifting to how his thigh brushed mine every time he shifted. He asked me questions. Real questions. Like he wanted to open me up and crawl inside. "What do you regret most in your life? Did you marry the person you really wanted? When was the last time someone looked at you like you mattered?" I laughed nervously at that last one and tried to sip my wine to avoid answering. But he didn't break eye contact. He just leaned in and said, "Because I see you, you know. Like really see you." My heart flipped. My hands trembled. "I don't know what you're trying to do," I whispered. He set his glass down and leaned back, his tone softer than ever. "I'm not trying to do anything. You're the one who showed up. I should have left then. Should have stood up, thanked him for the wine, and gone back to my safe little life. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned forward and kissed him. It wasn't soft. It wasn't shy. It was desperate, like all the lonely years had suddenly come rushing out of me at once. Our mouths met in a tangle of breath and hunger, and I swear I felt my body come alive for the first time in years. He pulled me onto his lap, his hands running up my sides, under my shirt. My mind screamed, "Stop," but my body had already made its decision. I moaned into his mouth as he pressed against me, harder, hungrier. My wedding ring scraped against the back of his neck as I clawed for more of him. Then, just like that, I pulled back. I couldn't breathe. I stood up, wiped my mouth, heart pounding out of my chest. I can't do this," I said, stumbling toward the door. He didn't follow. He didn't beg. He just watched me, eyes steady. Lips parted like he wanted to say something, but didn't. I ran out into the bright sunlight like it could cleanse me. But it didn't. The guilt came quickly. As soon as I got home, I sat on the bathroom floor and cried into a towel. I wasn't even sure why. It wasn't like we had sex. It was just a kiss, a long, hot, earth-shaking kiss. But it felt like cheating. It felt like betrayal. I felt dirty. That night, I cooked dinner for Mark and the kids like everything was normal. But inside, I was shaking. Mark didn't notice. He kissed me on the forehead like he always did, distant, distracted, and asked if the dry cleaning was ready. That's it. No spark. No what's wrong. No suspicion. I told myself it was a one-time mistake. That I'd never see Chris again. That I'd block his number, avoid his street, forget it ever happened. But then the message came. Chris, I get it. But you're not done with me. Not even close. I stared at those words for a long time, biting my bottom lip. Because deep down, I knew he was right. Over the next week, we didn't talk. But I thought about him constantly. I wore nicer things to the store. Put on lip gloss for no reason. Started fantasizing during showers, while folding laundry, even while lying beside my sleeping husband. Every time I saw the birdhouse on the windowsill, my stomach twisted. It was like a symbol now, not of birds, but of him. Of what we'd started. Of what I hadn't yet finished. Then came the next message. Chris, hotel room. Saturday. 3 p.m. just one time. No pressure. No strings. No regrets. There was a photo attached. A clean, discreet hotel just off the interstate. Room number 206. I stared at it like it was a doorway to another world. A world where I wasn't just a wife. Or a mother. Or a woman trapped in routine. A world where I was wanted. Desired. Touched like I mattered. I didn't reply. But I didn't delete it either. That Saturday, I stood in front of the mirror wearing black lace underwear I hadn't worn since before my second child was born. I applied red lipstick with shaking fingers, slipped on a cardigan over my dress, and grabbed the keys. I told Mark I was going to the outlet mall. But we both knew he wouldn't ask any questions. Megaphone, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who's ever felt invisible in their own home. What's coming next? It's intense. Real. Raw. I parked my car 2 blocks away from the hotel and walked. I told myself it was to be careful. To keep things clean. But the truth? I think I wanted the extra time. Every step I took toward that room was like walking deeper into a part of myself I'd buried for years. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. But my feet didn't stop. Room 206. That was the number. I stood outside the door for a good 30 seconds before I knocked. He opened it almost instantly. Chris stood there shirtless again, jeans riding low on his hips, body carved like sin itself. The room behind him was dimly lit, one lamp casting a soft gold glow. A bottle of wine sat uncorked on the table. Jazz played low from his phone. He didn't say a word. He just stepped aside, and I walked in. I remember hearing the door click shut behind me. That sound felt louder than it should have been. Like the final click of a lock on the old version of myself. I didn't speak. Neither did he. There were no rules now, no explanations. No pretending this was anything other than what it was. When he touched me, it was like my body already knew him. He pulled my cardigan off gently, then slid the straps of my dress down slow, so slow I thought I'd lose my mind. He looked at me like I was art. Like he wanted to remember every detail. And when he kissed me this time, it wasn't desperate like before, it was hungry, yes, but controlled. Measured. Like he knew exactly what he was doing and wanted me to feel every second of it. My dress pulled at my feet. The lace underneath? He took his time with that too. He whispered things in my ear that I didn't know I needed to hear, things that made my knees buckle, made me forget where I was, who I was. All I could do was hold on to him and try to keep breathing. He laid me down on the bed like I was something precious. And then he made me feel things I hadn't felt in years. No, ever. I don't know how long we stayed wrapped up in each other. It felt like hours. Maybe it was. We didn't talk much after. Just laid there. Breathing. Quiet. He traced circles on my back with his fingers, and for a moment, I felt safe. Like this was where I was supposed to be all along. But that didn't last. Reality always comes back. I sat up slowly, the sheets wrapped around me. The clock on the wall said 5:47 p.m. I was supposed to be home by 6. I stood, started dressing in silence. He watched me, eyes soft but unreadable. "You good?" he asked finally. I nodded. But I didn't look at him. "You don't have to pretend," he said. "You can say it if you regret it." I turned to face him. My lipstick was gone, my hair a mess, my chest still rising and falling fast. "I don't regret it," I said. "That's the problem." His jaw tightened just a little. "I told you it would be one time," I added. "That was the deal." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah," he said. "That's what they always say." I walked out without looking back. The hallway was empty. The sun was lower now, painting the walls in shadows. I made it to the car, hands still trembling as I drove off. Every red light, I thought about turning around. Every mile home, I kept hearing his voice in my head. "Say it if you regret it." "I see you. You're not done with me." I wasn't. Not even close. When I got home, dinner was already started. Mark was at the stove, stirring a pot of pasta. The kids were watching cartoons in the living room. "Hey," he said, barely glancing at me. "Did you find anything good at the outlet?" I smiled. "Just a few things." He nodded. "You're just in time. Can you grab plates?" That was it. No suspicion. No guilt. No awkward tension. He didn't know. That night, I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling. Mark snored softly beside me. And I lay there, naked under the sheets, remembering every inch of Chris's body. Every sound. Every word. Every feeling. I should have felt ashamed. Disgusted. Broken. But I didn't. I felt alive. Like I'd just woken up from a long, gray sleep. I knew it should have ended there. I got what I came for, right? One night. No strings. But the next morning, when my phone buzzed, I didn't even hesitate. "Chris, you left your earrings." "But I think maybe you meant to." He was right. Megaphone, if you're still watching, go ahead and like this video, hit that subscribe button, and share this story with someone who understands temptation doesn't knock politely, it kicks the door in. You'd think it would stop after the first time. You'd think I'd come to my senses. That I'd look at my husband, my kids, my life, and feel the kind of guilt that breaks you into pieces. But no. What I felt instead was hunger. That first night with Chris wasn't closure, it was the gateway. Like I'd crossed into some secret world and left the old me behind without even saying goodbye. We didn't wait long. 3 days later, we met again. Different hotel. Same story. Then it became weekly. Then twice a week. Then whenever we could find the time. Afternoons while the kids were at school. Evenings when Mark thought I was a book club. I told more lies in 2 months than I had in my entire life. I downloaded a second phone app, Wicker, for our messages. Set it to delete every conversation after reading. I wore new underwear, painted my nails red, kept my perfume in my car so it wouldn't linger in the bedroom. I became two women. The quiet wife who packed lunches, managed school meetings, did the grocery runs. And the secret one, who wore nothing but heels and lace behind hotel doors, moaning into the neck of a man who wasn't her husband. It's strange. When you're doing something wrong, you expect every doorbell to be your downfall. But life doesn't work like that. Mark didn't suspect anything. He was too busy. Too tired. Too used to the version of me that didn't cause ripples. I'd say, "I'm going to Target," and he'd barely grunt a response. I'd be gone for 3 hours, come home flushed and breathless, and he'd ask if I remembered to buy dog food. He didn't see me. But Chris? He saw everything. One afternoon, after we'd finished, I lay in bed beside him and whispered, "You ruined me." He grinned, pulled me close, and said, "No, baby. I unbury you." It sounded romantic. Deep. But now, looking back, I realize, he was right. He unburied a part of me I thought I'd buried on purpose. Things got messy after the 5th month. That's when the jealousy started. I don't even know why I felt it, I had no right to. I was the married one. I was the one sneaking around, lying, hiding. But when I found out Chris was seeing someone else, a girl from his gym, younger, obviously single, I felt like I'd been slapped. I only found out because I saw them together. In public. I was driving home from the pharmacy and saw them walking out of a smoothie bar, his hand on her waist, her head tilted back laughing at something he'd said. I pulled into a parking lot 2 streets over and cried. That night, I showed up at his place without texting. He opened the door, surprised. I walked right past him. "You seeing someone else?" I asked, voice tight. He stared at me, confused. "You really want to go there?" "I just want the truth." He raised his hands. "Yeah. I'm seeing other people." "You didn't exactly come with a promise ring." I froze. The heat in my chest turned to ice. "So I'm just one of your, what? Projects?" "No. You're the only one I see like this," he said, grabbing my wrist. "You're the only one who looks at me like you want to fall off the edge." I yanked my hand back. "You said no strings," he added. "Yeah. But I didn't know I'd grow one around my king throat." I left in tears. Speeding. Shaking. That's when I lost control of the car. Nothing serious, I clipped a stop sign turning too fast into a side street. Crushed the bumper. Had to lie again to Mark. Some idiot in the parking lot hit me and drove off. He believed me. Of course he did. He asked me if I was okay, kissed my forehead, and told me to relax. "You've been tense lately," he said. He had no idea that I was falling apart right under his nose. That week, I didn't see Chris. I told myself it was over. That I was going to stop. Go cold turkey. Get my life back in control. But I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. My skin missed his touch like it was addicted. Then I got a message. From a new number. "Chris, miss me yet?" I deleted it. Then I typed yes. But I didn't send it. Not yet. Megaphone, if you've been following my story, please take a second and like this video, share it with someone you trust, and hit that subscribe button. Because the worst part of making a mistake is knowing you're still in it. I didn't send the message that night. But I did the next morning. "Me, yes. I miss you. I hate that I do. But yes." He replied in seconds. "Chris, one last time." No words. No drama. Just us. I wish I could say I thought about it. That I sat with the choice and weighed my marriage, my kids, my dignity. But the truth? I packed a bag before I even finished reading that message. It was a Thursday. Cloudy. Cold enough that I wore a coat even though I knew I'd take it off the second I walked through the door. This time, the room was different. Bigger. Cleaner. He'd left a red rose on the bed. Classic move, I know, but it worked. It melted me in all the wrong places. He said nothing when he opened the door. He just pulled me in and kissed me like we'd been at war and finally made it home. Clothes hit the floor like confessions. We moved like addicts, needing, consuming, burning through the hours like they owed us something. It wasn't romantic this time. It wasn't gentle. It was urgent. Raw. A goodbye dressed in sweat and whispered curses. Afterward, we lay tangled in silence. His fingers traced my back like he was memorizing the shape of my spine. "I'm not good for you," he murmured. "I know," I whispered. "You gonna stop coming to me after this?" "I have to." He didn't argue. He didn't ask me to stay. And that's what hurt most. Because for a second, I wanted him to. I wanted him to say, "Don't go." I wanted to be worth ruining things over. But that's not what this was. That's never what this was. I got dressed slowly, hands shaking. When I reached for my purse, he grabbed my wrist and placed something in my palm. My earrings. The ones I forgot the first time. "I figured you'd want these," he said. I nodded, unable to speak. I walked out the door without another word. The walk to my car felt longer this time. The clouds had thickened. Rain started falling in soft drops, cold but oddly comforting. It matched my mood, muted and gray. I drove home in silence. No music. Just the hum of tires on wet asphalt and the dull throb of regret pounding behind my eyes. When I walked into the house, Mark was in the kitchen, fixing a leak under the sink. He looked up and smiled. "You're back early. Everything okay?" I nodded. "Just tired," I said. He wiped his hands on a rag and kissed me on the cheek. "You've been off lately. You all right?" I looked at him, really looked at him. This man. My husband. Who loved me in his quiet, routine way. Who never once suspected his wife had been living a double life. "I'm fine," I said. He believed me. Because I was good at lying now. The days after that felt empty. No messages. No secret meetings. No hotel keys in my purse. Just silence. I expected relief. What I got was mourning. Like I'd lost something real, even if it wasn't right. It's been 9 months since that last time. Chris is gone. I heard he moved to Florida. Probably building condos, chasing sunshine, and charming someone new. I haven't tried to contact him. And he hasn't reached out again. Mark and I are still married. We're stable. Safe. Predictable. But every now and then, in the middle of folding laundry or watching the kids fight over the TV remote, I catch myself drifting. I remember the hotel sheets. His hand on my thigh. The sound of my own voice saying, "I don't regret it." And I wonder, who am I, really? I came here to tell my truth. Not for pity. Not even for forgiveness. But because stories like mine happen more than you think. Because the women who make mistakes like mine aren't monsters. They're just human. Lonely. Tired. Craving something more. And sometimes, they go looking for it in the worst places. Was it a mistake? Yes. The worst one I ever made. Because it didn't just change my life. It changed me. And the hardest part? I got away with it. Megaphone if you've made it this far, thank you. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it if you believe some stories need to be told, especially the ones we never speak out loud. I was never caught. But that doesn't mean I'm free.